Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of my horror fanatics out there. Welcome back. I'm the Jay Sloan, and I'm back here to do another horror franchise ranking for you guys today. It's St. Patrick's Day. I love this time of year. I always have ever since I was a kid. Got the Leprechaun movies playing on the TV in the background, and I thought, what the fuck, let's go ahead and rank the entire Leprechaun franchise. The good and the very, very bad. We're going to be doing the entire series from the original 91 classic. Don't you mean 93 classic? Learn your shit, dude. All the way to Leprechaun Returns. So, without further ado, obviously, least to greatest, this is not the official list. This is my list, so comment down below. Let me know yours as well in a kind manner, please. Please don't tell me to kill myself or, go jump off a bridge. I will not do that. But anyway, guys, this is going to be a fun fucking ride. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms!
I had to do it. Number 8, Leprechaun Origins. I like to look at this as the worst golden nugget of shit out of the entire franchise. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Literally, I'm going to talk very briefly. In Origins, we follow two couples who are backpacking. They find themselves in Ireland mixed up with this creature. I'm going to say creature because he doesn't even resemble a leprechaun to me. In a situation that they can't seem to get out of. A horrifying situation. I'm not going to talk anymore about the plot simply because I don't want to. It has nothing to do with spoilers. I could give a shit less. I don't care if I spoil this movie from start to finish. This is a dog shit movie. Terrible horror movie. And it sucks for me to have to say that as a horror fan. I don't want any horror movie to be bad, but I knew this was going to be bad. And I avoided this movie for several years. The hesitation was real. I watched it recently. It's bad. The story is boring. The characters are so unlikable. I don't remember any of their names. They're not sympathetic at all. And I mean, the entire aesthetic of the Leprechaun is just wrong. I don't care if it's a new vision. I'm all for new visions, new directors. People can have their own mindset and their own way to go about things, but the Leprechaun in this was god-awful. I think my buddy Chris Brock said it best with the Predator vision that you get throughout the movie, where a lot of it's first person, and it's terrible, man. It's terrible. When you finally see the Leprechaun, it is a mix from the fucking vampire from Blade 2. Take that vampire from Blade 2, say he fucks Selma Hayek's vampire from Dusk Till Dawn. This is the creation. This is our Leprechaun and Leprechaun Origins. It's a terrible movie. It's a sleeper. Please, if you're going to watch this franchise, don't watch it unless you're a glutton for punishment and you really just, unless you just want to hurt inside, because that's what this movie is going to do to you. Yeah, that's Leprechaun Origins. That's why it had to come in at number 8.
May I say what an honor it is to be working with such a great genius.
And may I say how much I loathe and despise toadies like you.
Yes, Leprechaun 4 in Space is number 7. I almost wanted to put it a little higher, not because it's good, it's absolutely terrible. My uncle loved this one when I was a kid, and it was always on Sci-Fi, so I watched a lot of it, but it is a bad fucking movie. This movie came out in 1996. They decided it was time to put Leprechaun in space, and it did not pay off for the better at all. The story, I don't even really want to delve into it. It revolves around a spaceship. Leprechaun is trying to get back to her, also find his gold. There is a commander on board, and then there's a German doctor / scientist robot, whatever the fuck he is. There's so much jumbled in this story that it's too much to be likable, and it's too much to look away from at the same time, but it also feels like it runs for about 3.5 hours. There's some funny kills. I like the lightsaber stuff at the beginning of the movie. I like the Leprechaun coming out through. The Leprechaun, literally, a guy pisses on the Leprechaun, and later on, the Leprechaun comes out of the guy's dick, killing him. So there's some interesting kills, one with the pan in the face, and stuff like that. The spider creature is a little weird toward the end. Basically, it's just a runtime of nothing. It doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really amount to much. The biggest payoff in the movie is Leprechaun going from small to big for a few scenes and then floating out and drifting into the orbit, basically. Like he's drifting into space, flips off the people in the spaceship and us as viewers, and that's what we get. So that's Leprechaun 4. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's really tough to get through. One thing I can say that's good, Warwick Davis reprises his role in this, and we didn't get that in the previous movie that I mentioned. But Yeah, Leprechaun 4 in space. It's got to be my number 7.
Come on!
So for number 6, we are going to go Back to the Hood. And I'm going to be honest, when I was a kid, I did not care for In the Hood or Back to the Hood. But rewatching them for this ranking, I found a lot of enjoyment out of both. In the beginning of this one, we are introduced to Father Jacob, who retrieves the leprechaun's goat, and he intends to build a youth center with it. The leprechaun says, "Fuck that shit, I want my shillings, give me that stuff back." And the father actually banishes the leprechaun to hell, summoning like demon hands, but in the process he dies of his injuries, and the gold, pretty much, he loses the gold, it's underground. 1 year later, a couple friends find it, well, friends/lovers. The one chick goes to a fortune teller, and she is foretold, do not accept this gold. She sees everyone's fate in the flash of her eyes. She does it anyway, fucks him over, the leprechaun comes back. There's madness that ensues. There's a lot of kills that I enjoyed in this one. The characters were a little bit bland. Now, there's some of them that are interesting. I like the one dude who smokes weed, accidentally shuts the leprechaun up in the fridge. Yeah, the leprechaun gets high as fuck in this movie on several occasions. It's awesome to see. Very cheesy, very... it ain't plot driven. I'm just gonna say that, but it's eye candy. I mean, you get to see some cool kills. I like the woman who is trying to get a massage, and the leprechaun's big nasty ass toenails are on her back and stuff. It's full blown comedy at this point. We're throwing horror aspects out of the window, and yeah, I mean it was like that in Leprechaun in Space. So I guess they just decided to go all out. Still, nonetheless, it's fun. It had to come in at number 6. The Leprechaun looks a little odd in this one, though. I'm going to be honest, the prosthetics were not at its peak, and I didn't really care for his costume design that much either. But it's fun. Watch it. Especially if you're smoking a joint, go ahead. I'm not advocating drug use, but if you are smoking a joint, you're probably going to get a couple laughs with Leprechaun Back to the Hood. So Leprechaun Returns is an interesting one. I never thought I would put it in my top 5, but when I watched it the first time, I had very low expectations. I'm talking minuscule expectations, and I enjoyed it. And when I watched it the second time, I enjoyed it even more, so it had to make top 5. So in this film, we're introduced to Lila, which is Tori's daughter from the original film, played by Jennifer Aniston. We're informed that she has suffered severe mental illness since the situation with the Leprechaun back in 91. How many times do I have to tell you? It's 1993, dude. Everybody thought she was crazy. Her daughter's taking a trip back to this house because they're building a sorority on this land. Sort of like a habitat clean. They want to clean the earth kind of sorority. Pretty cool stuff. They don't really get to achieve it, but they try. The characters in this one's interesting. You have the typicals, but I think they do really good with what they have. You have the drunk chick who's always drunk, trying to just get hammered all day long. You got the dude who's trying to fuck the chick who he's had a relationship with in the past, giving her false hope, and every time he does, he has sex with her and then kind of blows her off. You got the really nerdy chick who is just completely all about the environment. You've got the guy filming everything who wants to be a filmmaker. Actually throws some directors' names in there, which is cool. They're cool characters. Take them, leave them. Some of them are throwaways, some of them are interesting. Then you look at the Leprechaun, who is played by Lyndon. I don't want to mispronounce his last name because I always feel like an asshole when I do that. But I think he did a really good job. I think he owned the role. His voice was a little too high-pitched for my liking, but all of his mannerisms, all of his actions, you could definitely tell he took some inspiration from Warwick Davis, but he also added some of his own flavor in there, and I think that's cool. I like the direct sequel approach with this. I won't talk too much about it, but it's sort of like a Halloween 2018, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, it's directly a sequel to the original. And it brings back fucking Mark Holton, which is awesome as Ozzy. I didn't expect to see that. That was a blast. Yeah, Leprechaun Returns, man. Top 5. If you haven't seen it and you're skeptical, trust me, I was too, but you need to check it out.
Oh.
Leprechaun 5 is a fun one. You know, like I said, when I was a kid, didn't really like it too much, but after rewatching it, I think it was the right move. You know, they had Leprechaun 4, and that was a huge failure. So they're like, let's put the Leprechaun in the hood. Times are changing. Year was 2000. Let's do it. And I think it paid off for the best, to be honest. Now, the story follows Mac Daddy, which is played by Ice-T, which is fucking amazing. At the beginning, he stumbles across some gold. Not only does he stumble across some gold, he stumbles across a statue of a leprechaun with a medallion around his neck, which is a tie back to Leprechaun 3, which this entire series, I'll just stop right now and say, it's like an anthology in an anthology. I don't know, other than Leprechaun and Leprechaun Returns, the cohesiveness or the continuity of the Leprechauns themselves, because I don't know if it's a different Leprechaun. I know there's different theories. We'll leave it at that. Statue, medallion, he takes it off. The Leprechaun comes to life. Wants his gold back. Mac Daddy manages to pull a baseball bat out, among other things, out of his fro. Gets the upper hand on the Leprechaun, gets that medallion around his little neck, and he puts a stop to that. You fast forward a little bit. There's 3 promising young men who want to start a rap group at first to kind of change the way things are. They don't really want to rap about violence and gang violence. They want to rap about peace, and that slowly changes. Mac Daddy pisses them off, and they decide to rob his ass, and they do, and the Leprechaun is unleashed once again. Now, this one has some interesting kills. I actually really like the characters. I like Postmaster P a lot. I like Butch. I like Stray Bullet. Stray Bullet's really, really cool. There's a scene where they're trying to sell a guitar that's one of the funniest fucking scenes out of the entire Leprechaun series. Aside from that, some of the kills are interesting. I don't know, though. This is a little bit different, where Leprechaun actually has minions in this one, where he can brainwash somebody and it can literally control them. You never know the mythos of the Leprechaun, because it changes so much throughout the series. But I will say that I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the kills. I enjoyed Warwick Davis a hell of a lot in this movie. And I can see myself watching this one again. I can actually see myself watching this one and the next couple that I'll mention. But yeah, the acting was really solid overall. Some of the kills were good. The hilarity in this movie was good, and it hit on all notes. I like this one better than Back to the Hood, but I mean, you could argue and say which one you like better. For me personally, it is Leprechaun in the Hood. Yeah, that's why it's number 4. Leprechaun in the Hood.
Bah! Blended Canadian. The only whiskey is Irish whiskey.
I love Leprechaun 2 a lot. I've grown to love this movie a lot. Every single St. Patrick's Day I watch it. I've had it on today. It is, it came out in 1994, sequel to the original, obviously. This is where the continuity goes bye-bye. We are introduced to the Leprechaun in ancient times. He has a slave. He tells his slave, listen, I'm going to have a bride. I'm going to let you go. Once this bride sneezes 3 times, she will be mine. She'll be my wife. It's a fucking dick move. The Leprechaun is such a troll. He may be the biggest troll in any horror franchise, like any horror icon. I've noticed that in rewatching all these. Dude's a fucking troll. It's great. So the slave notices that's his daughter. He intervenes with the sneezing, causing a curse on his descendants. He will have one of the slaves' bloodline to be his wife. And he goes after Bridget. Now, this one is wacky. It really is. But I love a lot of the kills in this one. I really love the characters. I love the characters of Cody and Bridget. I fucking adore Morty. Let's not get into it. Morty's a fucking beast. I hate the way he went out. He was a little greedy, a little selfish. Kind of deserved it. But nevertheless, that's my boy Morty. So it's just funny. There's a lot of scenes in this one where the original film really had a serious tone, and this one kind of went, we can't do that. Like the Leprechaun getting drunk at the bar. Like the barista kill. I mean, which was a great fucking kill, by the way. Like the kill where the dude is, like the douchebag, is mad at Bridget for not putting out, and then the Leprechaun lures him back in, thinking that Bridget's there with her, getting naked. And the guy's just basically putting his face into blades, shredding his shit to pieces. I love the scene with the bum, rips the bum's tooth out. Just crazy shit in this movie. It's wacky. The Leprechaun, his home is basically in a fucking tree stump in this movie. It's balls to the wall crazy. It's fun. It does have the gore. It does have a few frightening scenes. And it's Warwick Davis. This is at his peak. This is a couple years after the original. I think he knew what he wanted to do with this character, and he kind of molded that for later sequels. And this is where it's thrown out. It's like Child's Play. It's like we can be serious, but we're not going to after a certain time. So Leprechaun 2 is a blast, and on certain days, this can move up to my number 2, and be honest. I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Hey, man. See you on the flip side.
Vegas, my kind of town.
Let me preface this by saying this is my most enjoyable Leprechaun movie out of the franchise. This goes back and forth between 1 and 2, but for today, it is the second best out of the series, in my opinion, and that is the 1996 fucking classic, Leprechaun 3. I grew up with this one on VHS, man. This was one of the first ones I was introduced to, the original and this one. We skipped over 2 a little bit until it came on Sci-Fi along with Leprechaun 4 and blah, 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 blah. I love the humor in this. It has its fucking gore, too. Lee Armstrong as Tammy. Wow. Warwick Davis back, of course. Stellar fucking performance. John Gatton's actually... Scott, the acting is so... I don't even want to say over the top. I don't even know if it's under... I don't even know what he's doing in it, but it works, especially when he turns into... Oh, God. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, this is where we see the Leprechaun as a statue. A fucking weird pirated bum dude brings Leprechaun in, tells the pawn shop owner in Vegas not to take off the medallion. Of course he does. And then a pot of goat appears. The Leprechaun starts fucking this pawn shop owner up. I mean, bites his fucking toe off his ear, puts an arrow through his arm. I mean, this dude is going through the ringer. I mean, if you talk about Vietnam, I mean, this guy's fucking living it. And then you cut to a kid named Scott who's passing through to go to college, picks up Tammy. Her car is broke down and she needs a ride. He plans on giving her a ride later if she'll let him. They go to the casino where she's working, and she lets him go in for a little peek. He's underage, but she lets him go in. He decides to gamble all of his money away that he has to go to college with, and to the point where he goes to the pawn shop to pawn his granddad's watch. At this point, the Leprechaun has claimed the medallion, but he's missing 1 gold coin. He's completely killed the pawn shop owner. Scott finds the coin, and he wishes that he was back over at the casino gambling and on a winning streak, and that is how it begins. We have so many fucking moments in this movie to discuss, and I can't do it in this ranking video. If you would like to see a full review on this movie, comment down below, because I could talk about this for an hour and a half. I adore this movie. From Loretta, Caroline Williams in there is awesome. The fucking Fazio. You got the 2 goons who are just dipshits talking about like boxers and briefs and what is Judy Garland really like. You've got the fact that the Leprechaun, in the first time in the franchise, bites Scott on the arm, and for some reason Scott starts to turn into a leprechaun himself, and he's a full-size leprechaun with the cheesiest one-liners that you've ever heard in your life. I mean, do you take Green Cross? The fucking EKG is little leprechauns. His blood, like it's balls to the wall crazy. Is it a B movie? Absolutely. But is it the best B movie? One of the, in my opinion. I love this movie to death. Can't get enough of it. It's so enjoyable from start to finish. I literally cannot take my eyes off the screen when I watch this movie. I never have. Probably won't ever be able to. Leprechaun 3. I know it's a lot of people's personal favorite, and it's my personal favorite. I mean, from one day to the next, man. Ask me tomorrow. It could be number 1. But for today, Leprechaun 3 is my second best.
Oh my god! Call the police! Call the police!
Alex, get the shotgun!
Alright! Get the shotgun!
Hurry up, Alex!
Hurry!
Help! Help! It's happening! The attack is on! O'Grady...
So to start this off, I want to say I am officially a dumbass. I have said throughout the whole video that Leprechaun came out in 1991. Not true at all. I don't know why. Gee, I've only been trying to correct you the whole fucking video. I was thinking 91. 1993. Leprechaun was released in 93. And this is obviously the first of many, but the most serious out of all of them as well. This is the first one that I saw, and it actually scared me when I was a kid. We start this one with Dan O'Grady, who's supposed to be bringing his mother's ashes home. Instead, he surprises his wife with a big pot of gold that he says he stole off of a leprechaun. She thinks he's fucking nuts. She's going to make him some hot tea when she hears that apparently he has smuggled a child back to their home inside of his suitcase. It's so sadistic because the leprechaun's like, I can't breathe, please let me out. And the leprechaun pops out. You see the fantastic makeup, Warwick Davis, and he just starts terrorizing this woman. He wants his gold back. Dan O'Grady manages, after seeing his wife is dead and Leprechaun's basically using her as a puppet, he manages to get the Leprechaun inside a box where he nails it shut and puts a 4-leaf clover on top. And the Leprechaun, during the process, he has either a stroke or a heart attack, which you think he passes away, but does he? Something happens to him, and the house is abandoned until, I don't know how many years later exactly. You got Jennifer Aniston, Tori, and her father going to this house to soup it up and fix it. She's a city girl. She does not like bugs, spiders. She doesn't like webs, any of that stuff, dust. She wants to stay at a fancy hotel until she sees a young guy who catches her eye, and she wants to prove herself, so she starts painting and helping out around. Then you've got Ozzy. You've also got Alex, and Alex is the brother to Nathan, and Alex is brother to Nathan, and Ozzy is just a friend. So things start to slowly go awry when Ozzy, who is a little bit impaired, I don't want to say the wrong word, he goes down to the basement and he accidentally knocks the 4-leaf clover off, and the leprechaun just fucking goes awry. And he comes out and starts terrorizing them. So little by little over the film, they start to discover, and it doesn't just happen all at once like some of these movies does. The leprechaun just, boom, he's out. You see Jennifer Aniston's leg, and the leprechaun's petting her leg, and he scratches her. It builds, and it's actually suspenseful, and it's actually pretty creepy. Most of the film is in the dark, which adds a whole nother level to it as well. The acting is really good. I love Jennifer Aniston in the movie. I love pretty much all the characters. Mark Holton again, Ken, I don't know what his last name is. Ken something, Olant, I think, maybe, as Nathan. He did a really good job. Warwick Davis blows out of the fucking park. It's got so many good one-liners as well. Fuck you, Lucky Charms. There's so much. I love when Jennifer Aniston gets a shotgun. You ever fired one of those things before? Cocks it. Nope. It's just a blast, and it's one of the only scary ones out of the series. So it had to be, I think, structurally, story-wise, acting, I mean, everything, mood, atmosphere. I think it's the best out of the franchise today, but that could change tomorrow. It's one that's always playing on my TV every single St. Patrick's Day. If you come in my room, you come in my house, you're going to see it playing. At least the first 3 films. So, Leprechaun's a classic. It should be revered as one. I don't like the fact that a lot of people see it as a joke, because it isn't. I think it is a very underrated horror film. Horror comedy, if you want to push it to that level. Nevertheless, that is my list from 8 to 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below. Let me know what your Leprechaun list is. Happy St. Patrick's Day once again.